council, and what do you want to accomplish the most while in office?
I'm running for fourth ward council because of many reasons. I could start with people like Audrey Fletcher, Bobby Riley, Paul Yates, Sandy Hunter, and Al Pelham. These are individuals who I remember as being leaders in town when I was a kid growing up. Continue their legacy and making sure the fourth ward is represented and has a voice in town government is important. They did that, and some of them still are, like Dr. Baskerville is doing. If you were to ask me what I want to accomplish most, it's that in 4 years, the residents of Fourth Ward will feel like they were represented, their interests were worked on, and I heard their concerns, that I was available and accountable. I also want residents from every ward to believe I represented their concerns and values.
Today, schools are shut down. All non-essential businesses are closed, and people are being forced to practice social distancing due to the coronavirus pandemic. What will you do to try to alleviate the coronavirus pandemic in Montclair, and how will you make Montclair prepared for future epidemics and pandemics?
Coronavirus has changed how we all live. It's important that, every day we look at what's going on. Its impact on everyday life cannot be explained, and I don't think anyone can predict its devastation. As a government official, I would think that it would be important that we create a task force with local officials, first responders, doctors, police, and firemen. They're the ones who are on the front line. Even members of the Board of Education. I think if we get that group together and they work with some county and state officials, they could put together a strategic plan that would be the baseline for any action we would take if we face something like this again. I mean, think about it. They're the ones who are experiencing what's working and what's not working. So I think they're the ones who could give us a baseline of how we would attack this issue if it ever happened again.
As someone who has not held political office before, why did you decide that now was the right time to run for office?
I don't have experience as a council person, but I did serve on the Board of Education. And I think that's as close as you can get to a political position in Montclair without being on the council. Being on the Board of Ed was good preparation for this role when it comes to governance. The board functions very similar to how our Faulkner form of government operates. You have a superintendent who's responsible for the day-to-day operations, similar to how our town manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the township. The superintendent reports to the board, similar to how the town manager reports to the council. The board members are supposed to make sure the district is functioning legally and properly. Council members have a similar role. So although there are some differences, I believe overall my term on the board will prove valuable to me being ready to serve on the town council.
There has been a lot of new development in Montclair in luxury apartments, but not a lot of new affordable housing projects. Would you be in favor of committing Montclair to more affordable housing, and how would you do this?
When we talk about development and affordable housing in Montclair, I believe we follow what's already on the books, that any new development must allocate 20% of the units for affordable housing. We'll be heading in the right direction. As a council member, I will always fight for affordable housing. The current council, recently passed a rent control ordinance. I think as we move forward and when developers take on projects, we have to hold them to what's on the books. If they're not committed to setting aside affordable housing units that meet the 20% requirement, then no project should not move forward.
With incredibly high rent forcing many Montclair stores to close, how do you plan on supporting small businesses?
The small business discussion is one that I think is a double-edged sword. I live in the South End and their businesses have been there for decades. Choppy's Cleaners has been doing my clothes since the 80s. I look at Walnut Street, Grove Street, and Upper Montclair, as well as Watchung Plaza, and I think those stores and those businesses are doing very well. So I think, as we look at areas in terms of businesses, how they're doing, how they're operating, if there is a huge turnover and there proves to be that high rent is the reason, I think the first thing we need to do as a council is talk to the members of the local bids, because I think they are the ones who have the most interaction with the businesses. And if they come back to us and say, hey, we're having an issue with high rent, then I think a discussion needs to be had. But I don't want to go in with a preconceived notion that high rent is the reason businesses are not making it. And then in terms of what do I think is the best way to support small businesses, I think is by going to those businesses and spending my money there by, supporting them and buying clothes, buying food, buying the goods and stuff that they have and that they're looking to, use. I mean, or when I say use, but that they're selling. So that's the best way to support small businesses, is to actively support them with your dollars.